All right, thanks everyone. I hope everyone's had a good start to the day and the content's been up to the standard you guys have expected. It's been definitely something I've appreciated and learned a lot of stuff, so I appreciate everyone that's already made presentations. Next we're going to hear from Ellis Taylor, who I met in 2019 as part of a Reach Accelerator program, a PropTech Accelerator program that we put UbiPark through. Ellis was one of the mentors and we sort of clicked pretty quickly. Ellis likes a beer, so do I. And we sort of aligned pretty quickly. So Ellis and his dad Gary run Real Time Australia, and they're a recruitment agency, but with a little bit of a different spin, which I'll let him explain. But what's been really good for UbiPark, we've been able to find people that fit our culture and able to fit in. We sort of learnt pretty quickly the hard way that you can employ people maybe that are really good on paper or come from a really corporate background, and then you put them into us going through that startup to scale up to a more mature business now. But it's a little bit messy compared to the corporate world, and you need people to sort of be able to fit in that, or they don't work. And we've got a few of our staff that are here. Actually, there's probably a majority of staff that we've actually come through Real Time Australia, and we don't have a high turnover of staff, and I think it's because Ellis and Gary take us through a process that actually spits out really good candidates and people that actually fit in and buy into the UbiPark environment. So without any further, I'll come up, mate, and I'll give you this. Welcome, Ellis, to the stage.
Thank you. Cheers. Hello. Nice to see you all. Nice to be here. Thank you for that very kind introduction, Mossy. As Mossin's saying, I was really excited to come here today because not only have we been really helpful with UbiPark and we love working with them, but it's kind of taking a much bigger approach to how we hire. So I'd love to kind of step through what that looks like. So that's that. I wanted to kind of start here, and it's a very basic kind of slide. I'm not going to win a Nobel Peace Prize for figuring out the difference between where every company in the room and any company in a simplistic fashion is at any point in time. You're either in survival mode or you're in growth mode. We have all been in either of those two places. Survival mode is where a lot of us are at the moment, and we all know it's budget cutting, hiring freezes, paused projects, and a focus on what we know and a rejection of what is possible, which is innovation and new ideas and all of those fantastic things. So in survival mode, your org structure, well, I hope it doesn't look like that because that's pretty ugly, but it's not going anywhere. It's static or it's retracting. Growth mode is the opposite. We all love growth mode. Budgets are open, new hiring, new ideas, let's test this, let's test that, and your org structure is going to be expanding. Yes, this is cyclical, no matter what industry you're in, but the longer you are stuck in survival mode depends largely to how you grow in growth mode. It is who is in your team, how they behave, and how they are organised, which dictates largely how long you stay there. It feels like, as well, in survival mode, in protection mode, some of your competitors, like some of the industry leaders, are just doing things faster. How are they doing that? Why are they kind of getting out of survival mode quicker? And it's really largely down to the people that they have. It's not, as Mossy said, just looking at a CV and saying that person's fantastic, let's get them in. It's a much bigger process, which we've been very lucky to have built over a very long time. And this is probably, Mossy's already alluded to it, but it was probably a good idea to just let everyone know absolutely loud and clear that yes, I am a recruiter. So hold your tomatoes, as Mossy said, with a bit of a difference. And that is not only if, I've been in your shoes. In my past career in banking and finance, I was growing large teams and working with recruiters, and I completely understand the opinion of them. I'm strongly on your side in the fact that 90% of them are useless, really. They're annoying, they're expensive, they don't know what they're doing because of a large structural piece, which I'm going to show you, which all of the best employers adopt. So in our 32 years at Real Time as a business, we have not only worked with, but been honoured to actually sit down at the table, learned from and advised to your Atlassians, your Googles, your Afterpays, your Canvas, your Ubi Parks, and many, many more. And it's this difference where we're showing them how to hire the right people very quickly, how to reduce turnover to near nil, and how to ultimately stay in that growth zone longer, get out of that survival mode quicker. This is a quick caveat as well. This is not just related to software companies. This is any company. If you're hiring operational staff or salespeople or offshore developers or event planners, whatever it is, this model is what we've learned that is the difference at those types of Canvas and Afterpays, etc., who are leading the pack in this space. So the simple science behind this is the most innovative employers do these things. They design teams so that innovation can actually happen. This is a forethought. This is when, even if you're a two-person company and you're hiring your next person, or if you're a 50-strong organization and you know that you need to get to 100 over the next few years, this is in mind from day one. Number two, they create and protect a culture which allows and supports innovation to actually happen as well. And number three, they hire people who thrive in those teams and culture. Take away all of the complexity outside of that. That is the main focus, and that is when you're sitting at the table with, we need to hire one person, we need to hire 100 people. This is the common theme with those leaders. So, where a lot of employers get stuck and you feel like you're kind of in that rut of not being able to, deliver fast, not being able to hire the people that you really wanted to, it's because we're doing the same thing over and over and over again. Why can't we hire the best people? Why don't they stick around? Why are we losing people at offer stage? Etc., etc. We all know that feeling. We've all been there. And that same thing we're doing over and over and over again is our org structures are built in minutes and then chucked in a spreadsheet or chucked in a desk, and then they collect dust and don't really get the attention that they constantly need. When we replace someone, we just get the same position description that we did last year for that person, and then, HR, can you please find someone to replace X, Y, Z? We make decisions based on paper CVs. We then, in actually interviewing those people, we're asking them the same questions, like, tell me a time where you did this, or tell me more about your past experiences there. And then what happens is that without all of this structure, and doing the same thing over and over again, we're just hiring like-minded people. If you yourself or your hiring managers aren't aware of this, then it's human nature to sit across from someone and say, I like this person, they're fair enough, let's get them in, without understanding how they actually connect to your strategy and to your goal now, and how they're going to affect innovation in the future for you, to again get you out of that survival mode. So enough whinging. This is a, I know there's a lot there, so don't worry about every word, we can step through, but this is really the 4 parts that these best employers nail. This is where, again, it's not an shooting from the hip discussion. It's not a, it's not an afterthought. It's something that the best employers spend time on, invest in, challenge, redesign, come back around, and make sure that these 4 things are absolutely airtight. So, org design. So when the goal is known, the company goal is known, the challenges that you're going to face as an organization are clearer. And in that, if your goal does not have innovation factored into it, you are doomed. Your competitors are going to take over your ground, your staff are going to get annoyed because there's nothing really happening, and you're stuck in survival or retraction mode. So you need to create a structure that actually allows innovation to happen. And it doesn't look like this. That is 90% of the org designs that we get and pull our hair out over, because it's just the most unmotivating, unsexiest, un-2023 thing I've ever seen. We need to move away from this and be a lot more ecosystem and innovation minded. Next is the culture and principles, my favorite part. So once you have the design, now you need the approach. You know that this is the skeleton. Now we need the actual behavior of the people within that framework. Curiosity leads to innovation. It must come from the top. It must be top down. So your leaders must show an openness to being challenged, being inclusive, and actually rewarding curiosity. When that happens, you create this mindset of collaboration and idea sharing and experimentation. People feel safe to, raise their hand and let you know what you feel, to approach the CEO, to kind of challenge this new direction. And when you have a culture of that, it rewards your most ambitious employees in your company. They start to think, I actually might stick around. This is cool. I feel valued. This is challenging. This is what I was coming in here to actually do and to achieve. And when you have that, it also correlates with higher staff participation, tenure, and performance. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of studies that support that. And the other thing that I'll just add to that as well is attraction for not only new staff coming in, but new clients as well. They want to work with someone who is pushing the envelope, who is talking about what's next. So as soon as you start to create this culture around here, which again is top down, all of these wonderful things start happening. I'll give you a super quick example of this, actually. Last week, I was interviewing a fantastic prop tech salesperson. She's wonderful. I put forward 4 opportunities with our clients looking for salespeople at the moment. And she said, this all sounds fantastic. What if you were to rank their press releases in the next 6 months, Ellis, how would you do that? I thought, that's an interesting question. What do you mean by that? Well, what do their press releases look like in the next 6 months? And I said, well, that's a fantastic question to my clients. I'm going to go back and ask them immediately. 2 didn't really have an answer. 1 had an okay answer, but it was kind of half. And the 4th was so excited that I and a candidate was asking this question, and they mapped it out. They said, this is the headline that we're going to go out next year with. This is what we've done for this market. This is how we've disrupted it. This is so new in the market, and this is what it's going to do for our customers. She dropped all other opportunities, even interviewing with some people at the time last week, and now today she's at the final stage with this 4th client. This is what the best candidates want, and this is what the best candidates are going to push you around on. And they deserve to, because these types of people are the ones who are going to innovate with you and drag you continuously up and into this growth mode. Number 3, job design. This is always the missing link. And back to my love-hate relationship with recruiters, this is what they don't understand. And this is why it's a very frustrating process. This is not a job description. Job design is the responsibilities and outcomes that each member of your team needs to personally achieve so that your business goal is achieved. It breaks down into individual tasks, mindsets, and responsibilities. Think of it as a sports team. What better place to use the analogy? Think of it as a footy team, or a netball team, or a water polo team. If the best teams, the ones who win the comps consistently, usually aren't the ones stacked with the star players. They're the teams that know the strategy really clearly. Everyone on the team knows exactly what their role is. And once that's clear from a transparency point of view and from an individual performance point of view, for the coach, it's very easy to select people into those roles. Because this is our goal, and this is exactly what I need you to achieve week in, week out. Once that's clear, you can also performance manage that person much better, and you can also tap into their motivations much easier as well. So if everyone in your team does their job right, you will hit your goal. Just to run through there, it's, again, connecting your org plan and structure to employee performance. It reduces personal dependencies and blockages. And again, this is well above and well before any mention of a job description. A job description is just an advertisement. And most of the time when you get 100 applicants to your role, 95% of them are wrong because there's been no job design thought beforehand. Finally, the fun part, interview and assessment. This is the questions that we get time and time again. How do I interview people? Ellis, I've got a meeting with a sales leader tomorrow or a CTO tomorrow. What do I do? I can't answer that question if you have no job design. Because what happens in interviews, and we've all been there, I'm as guilty as anyone when I was starting out years ago and building teams, is that we all have this innate confidence that I can interview well. And I'm sure we can. We ask the right questions, and no, I've got a way to I can really tell what people are, if they're going to be good or not. And we all know that just does not work because we don't have a system. We're coming up with questions before the interview. We think, I'm going to push this person around. Tell me what you did at XYZ, and why did you do it that way? And why did you, it's all past focused. It's not thinking about how is this person going to solve my problem right now and, more importantly, tomorrow and next year. Tom Ellis just said something to me interestingly at lunch, that was it ambiguity is the new norm? Uncertainty is the new norm. So if you're hiring people to do today's job based on a piece of paper and interview questions that you come up with 10 minutes before your interview, they're not going to, it's just pure luck if they're effective in the future. Luck. And then without all of these things behind them, that percentage of luck is falling and falling quickly. So what happens when there is no connection between job design and your exact assessment is likeness starts to happen. And likeness can be very, very dangerous. Likeness is, as I said earlier, I'm sitting across from this person and I like them. I can see them working here, I've got a good vibe. I woke up on the right side of the bed. I'm happy, they're happy. Let's go forward with it. But likeness, when you're hiring for likeness, you create groupthink. Groupthink is dangerous because that turns into single-mindedness. And evolution does not happen in homogeneous environments. You need diversity of thought and that's when it's very easy to come through when you connect job design and your assessment. So, what happens when we get this right? Not that. This. Ta-da! Cohesion and innovation. Why I'm speaking today, why this day is all has been put on for you guys. So, when we do all of those steps right, which isn't super difficult, we've been doing this for a long time, we've put it into a very nifty little process, which Will is now an expert on. Thank you, Will. When we have this all working very well, then ideas are exchanged. Experiments occur because people feel valued and ideas are encouraged. You attract a diverse range of thinkers, which again you need. You're getting rid of bottlenecks because middle management isn't required to step in and make all these decisions. Job titles and positions aren't fought over because everyone feels heard. And back to the people part, not only your current staff and your best staff, your future employees, but also your clients are attracted to this new machine that you've got built because, again, you're thinking about the future. You're thinking about how are we going to embed innovation into our structure. A quick story, we did this with Canva in 2020. They invited us in to, pardon me, help them with a nationwide search of 100 extremely rare skilled developers, which was a great process, and we walked through this with them. And we broke it, we challenged it, we started again throughout the process. How did those interviews go? No, we're asking too many questions, let's bring it back. And this was a constant work in progress. And we hired the 100 developers with them. But through the results of that, two stories stand out to me is that two placements we made. One, Sam, 17-year-old kid, hadn't finished school yet, had not had a job before, had no CV, has no LinkedIn, has no relevant experience. And Deanna, who was in her 40s, she was an accountant, and she had recently made the decision to that she wants to be a software engineer. So she went to uni and got her degree. So I would have been shit scared putting those people towards any other company who didn't have this process set because they would have looked and just thrown them out. I had to help Sam build this CV, which was the shortest CV you've ever seen in your life. But the reason why both of them are still at Canva today and kicking ass is because they were assessed in line with what Canva needs. And it's not I'm looking for a salesperson who has sold this. Have you done that before? Yes or no, in or out? It's, I have a requirement. I've got these problems in the way of my goals. How is this person thinking, acting, behaving to help me actually solve those problems? And when you get people like that in your organization, again, they're doing the innovating for you. It's not coming up to the top all the time saying, Mostyn, what are we going to do about this? Mostyn, what are we going to do about that? Which I'm sure happens a little bit still, Jesse. But it's allowing, you've hired smart people. You've given them the ability to make decisions in yourself. So you have stepped out of this bottleneck, and you are therefore built to grow faster. Final slide. This is just a quick snapshot of the very healthy insight that this is what the best candidates want. We interviewed 500 candidates in September, asking them this question, and they're all after innovation. And I guess that you are, and your peers are too, right? No one wants to be stuck in this survival mode. No one wants to be doing the BAU time and time again. We all want to be here. So build it and they will come. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Alice. I think if I'm sort of reminiscing around what we were doing prior to we met Alice and we were making all the mistakes that Alice talked about, I I think one of the things I was doing is hiring people that needed help, and not hiring people for the roles that we were looking for, and trying to mould that around. But going through this process, understanding the goals and the vision that we want to happen at Uri Park, and then having people fit into those roles is really pushed the business forward, and it's been contributed. We after going through the REACH program, Alice's dad Gary sat with us and did a whole heap of work for us at no cost, and it was all around strategy, principles, understanding where the business needs to go, and that's given them insight into our business, our strategy day. We have people like Carl, Simon and Alice attend those strategy days, so we're getting that outside influence into building the strategy around it. And anyone that comes into the business now, even if we've got someone in our network that we want that thinks might fit into the role, we'll run them through that process to make sure that they've got the right fit rather than us thinking they've got the right fit. Right. Any questions for Alice? Awesome. Yep. Liv?
In terms of having that conversation with the organisation sort of beforehand, how long does that take, and do you find a lot of resistance, or are people more willing these days?
Yeah, great question. I'd say it's got to be 99 times out of 100 where we go through, just like with Mossy up front. It's like, okay, well, tell me. You say, I think it was the first time we were talking. Mossy said, I don't know if I need to hire 5 salespeople or a product person or anything in between. And I said, okay, well, let's talk about your strategy, and what is your strategy, and where are your organizational goals, and what is your culture, and what are your principles. And, we all love how humble Mawson is, and he said, I need help here, right? And not a lot of founders have the guts to say that. So
is that after I said that I don't like recruiters? I think that was the first sentence.
In the same sentence, yeah. But you gave me 10 more seconds, so I appreciate that. But yeah, it's a lot of people just simply don't have the answer to, and when you start to ask those questions, they do get uncomfortable and think, let's go find someone else, or let's just put an ad out on Seek, and this will get around this uncomfortability. So I think like new startups and scale-ups are being helped to get this right up front first. Like REACH do a great job of it, and a lot of other VCs that we partner with. They don't let them out the door until they have absolutely challenged and tested those types of questions. So it is coming around, but it is still a very big blockage.
Daniel.
Yep.
How do you then help with the applicants to fit them in, to say sometimes that's not realistic?
Yeah.
In the market?
Great question. So our focus, and when we do our studies like this, we're talking to passive candidates, which means they're not actively looking for a role, and they're not actively, applying for roles. And we have a data system which kind of ranks our candidates. So we're only asking tier 1, tier 2 candidates, because we think that why are we getting data from people who are applying for 10 jobs a day? We're not very interested in them. So those people, this question is, if you were to move, why would you move, and what are you looking for in the culture? That's their answer. And this was mainly in prop tech and fintech candidates, as we were very busy in those domains in September. So it's not like if I'm applying for a role, yes, candidates are looking for how is this company competing, how is this company innovating, how are they doing what no one else is doing. That question comes up. But the best candidates make a decision on whether that is true or not. And they'll push you around in the interview as well. As I mentioned with that salesperson last week and this week, it's a requirement of theirs. So if you don't have it, then you need to, back to org design, you need to understand, well, what are we hiring for? That makes a difference.
I think just to add that, Daniel, I think you're selling yourself short there. You're always challenging the norm, and that's innovating in itself. And I think your team would say that you're innovators. So I think it would be one area at first parking would be attracting good staff too, because you're always challenging the way it's done, and you're listening to people in your team to do that.
And that's a very good point as well. That's what a lot of founders, because you're in the business, you don't realise what you're doing, what impact you're having from a candidate's perspective as well. So we help drag that out of you. You know, we you're like, oh, we're just another XYZ kind of company. No, you wouldn't be surviving if you're just doing what everyone else is doing. So let's dig into exactly what that story is, and then that story comes into the actual candidate attraction piece.
Tom.
When you're thinking about the hiring mix, how do you work with executive teams around when and kind of mix of, I need a 10x engineer or a budget for a checkout staff?
Yeah. Yes. Very good question.
Sounds like the conversations I have with Alice every time.
Yeah. We lead with data, so we can show the execs the exact market. If you're looking for a Kubernetes engineer or you're looking for a country manager, when we're interviewing people, just like these types of Sonar reports, Sonar is our talent intelligence machine, we're extracting that conversation and their answers and then putting into, okay, well, we've just spoken to 200 country managers. This is not only their exact salary requirements, this is what they think about ESOP, this is what they want in bonus, this is what the current commission structure is, this is their leadership style, this is their motivations, blah, 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 blah. So we've been wrestling with execs for such a long time that we said, screw it, we're going to make something which they can't argue with, and put the report in front of them and said, this is exactly the people that you're after, and that's exactly how much they're going to cost. And also, it's not, we can hire people at, depending on that story, like to your piece, Daniel, the stronger the story and the tighter the match between what you guys are doing and what the candidate is looking for, that's when you don't need to pay overs. People do, believe it or not, take salary step backs or walk away from shares or things like that. If they say, well, I'm working in a bank and I'm hating it, this mob are doing this, I love it, sure, I'll take an X% cut. So you can't do that if you don't have a very clear story and a good story.
Let's thank Ellis for his great presentation.
Thank you.